Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with a new video. This is my November reading wrap up, where I talk about the last of the books I've read in the month of November, plus one I forgot, and tell you about my November reading stats. So, I'm filming this really late because of life things that have happened. I have now been sick twice in the month of December. My parents were sick in between those times, and because of all of this, we have had to postpone our gift exchange for the holidays. And now my landlord is outside the window chatting away. Hopefully you can't hear that. On the plus side, one of my Yulee gifts is this wonderful camera. So we have improved video quality again. Like, if you are a subscriber to my channel, I need you to deal with these things. Because if not, like, I would have just given up. There would be no filming happening whatsoever. But anyway, let's not drag this out. Let's talk about my November stats. Let me take a gander at my tracker here, which is actually doing better. I read a total of 13 books in the month of November, 2,213 pages. No hours listened. My average rating was a solid 4.0. And I read 12 of those books were owned voices. So pat myself on the back for that. I think that is the highest number of owned voices books I have read in a single month, and definitely the highest percentage of books. So like 12 out of 13, like with one exception, they've been owned voices. We getting there, girl. We getting there. These genres. Because things have improved with my reading spreadsheet here, I can tell you my very specific details. Oh, wait. So, I read 2 epic high fantasy books, 3 contemporary romances, 4 time travel sci-fi, 1 other, 1 slice of life, and 1 I'm not sure how to categorize. Now, the formats, I read 4 ebooks and 9 physical books. The forms, 7 manga and 5 graphic novels. So that explains how I read 13 books this month. So moving on to the audience, I read 1 adult book and 11 young adult books, and 1, again, I'm not sure how to exactly categorize. I think this would fit. It would be appropriate for a young adult audience. I haven't talked about that book yet, so when I get to it, I'll explain the confusion I'm having. So now for the identities, or the gender identity, I read 11 cisgender books, 1 unknown, same one I've been talking about, and 1 with gender fluid character. And I'll talk about that as well at the end. That's the last book I read. For the racial identity, I read 7 books with Asian main characters, 5 books with indigenous main characters, and 1 book with a white main characters. For the sexual identity, I read 3 books with male, love male, or I always forget what's the version, male version for sapphic. I always forget the word, and please help me out. And that's it. Otherwise, they were heterosexual relationships, sexual identities, as far as I'm aware. The authors, I read 8 authors that were new to me and 5 authors that were not new to me. For the types, here we go. No standalones. All 13 books I read were part of series. No rereads either. So this makes sense because I am still doing the 30 and 30 manga challenge, which I made another challenge for me, which was to read the majority of them being volume 1s. So, yeah. Last but not least, we have the ratings. I read 3 4.5 star books, 8 4-star books, 1 3.5 star book, and 1 3-star book. I'm kind of proud that I was able to say that without glancing down. Thanks to that motorcyclist. So, the first book I want to talk about, I actually did not read in the month of November. I am behind on posting my videos, you know this, because of these vlogs I was doing for readathons. The September vlogs are not up yet, or the rest of them are not up. Somehow I did not put into Storygraph, or Goodreads for that matter, that I read this book. So I have had it out from the library this whole time. No issues with that. But I was like, wait a minute, I haven't talked about this book yet. I know I've already read it. So I finally sat down before filming this and was like, let me look through these vlog videos to see if I talk about this book. And I did. Back in September, I read House of Slaughter by James Tynion, Tate Bromble, Werther Deladeria, Chris Sheehan, and Miguel Huerto, the last 3 being illustrators of some kind. And this is an offshoot from the Something is Killing the Children series, which I did read everything that is out so far, collected volumes so far from the same author and artist as part of the Realm of Comics book club picks. This came out this year, and you know I'm not reading except for anticipated releases, 2022 releases, but I was like, I want to read this, and it took a while for it to get to me from the library, and since then, like, no one else has requested it, which I'm irritated by, but whatever. An offshoot from Something is Killing the Children. In this one, we're following Aaron Slaughter, who is a member of the House of Slaughter that Erica, the main character of Something is Killing the Children, is a part of, and this is kind of his backstory to an extent. And so we got Aaron, we've got another new character, Jace, and so this has a male-male relationship in it, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So this is before Erica joined the House of Slaughter. We had gotten a little of Aaron's backstory and Something is Killing the Children, but like when he joined. But in this, it's kind of an in-between time. So he's a little bit older. Jace joins them from another house, and some things go down. This world, Something is Killing the Children, I guess, is a good backstory to give you a synopsis of that series. We're in a small town in the Pacific Northwest, and something is killing the children and or kidnapping them. And one day, this young lady shows up in the town, and she approaches the teenage boy, who's the only one to have knowingly survived. He wasn't killed, and he wasn't kidnapped. And she gets the story from him, and then we start to find out what's killing the children, but also like that there are these people out there that know these things exist and go around and try to kill these things and stop the stuff from happening. Erica is one of them, as is Aaron. The Butcher's Mark. This is the collected, I guess, comics from 1 through 5. I just checked, and 6 through 10 are out, the individual issues, but no collected edition yet. But this just came out this year, so that's fine. Alright, so this is a horror comic graphic novel series. I'm still trying to figure out what my definition of what a graphic novel is. I'm still trying to understand that. But I wound up giving this a 4.5 stars because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Back to November reads. I'm still continuing the 30 and 30 manga challenge by Shay Geeks Out. Co-host Izzy from Happy for Now, and Ashley from Bookish Realm, and Bree from Lock Beautician. Shay did say that we can include graphic novels and comic books, so that's what I did. And these next 3 are continuations in a series called A Girl Called Echo by Indigenous author. This is Katharina Vermette. November is Indigenous Heritage Month. The series was picked out. The Realm of Comics Book Club pick for the month of November in the Realm of Comics is run by Ashley and Bree. So we have some overlap there. And I just decided to read the rest of this series digitally. And they're honestly so short, it does run together in my head, the various storylines. So volume 2 is called Red River Resistance. It's said by Katharina Vermette, but also illustrated by Scott B. Henderson and Donovan Yakwuk. I probably butchered that. So in this series, we're following a young teen girl, so not an older teen, I don't believe, Echo, who is now learning about her Métis history through school. So for some reason, she is separated from her mother and is kind of in a foster home type of situation. For some reason, not just in history class now, but also at home, when she falls asleep, she winds up slipping back in time and kind of living through the Métis history that she's learning in class. In this volume, she's transported to the banks of the Red River, and in 1869, this is a time when, I guess, Canada as a country is being established, and so the powers that be are more on the East Coast, and they're sending out surveyors to kind of parcel up the land and send in settlers, but the Métis people are already there, so they're losing access to their land, and there's, issues going back and forth with regards to that. There's not much to say about this. I wound up giving it a 4 stars. The same with the next installment in this series, which is the Northwest Resistance. Again, same authors and illustrators, and we're still following Echo. In this one, where she's now going back in time to 1884. Now there's a new Métis resistance leader. He's come back from that time and is trying to, deal with the Canadian government in a civilized way. And, there are issues between these new settlers, the I guess, resistance people, but also the military in this regard. There seems to be some military people who have been sort of pushed out to the west, out of sight, out of mind, and they're going about things in a not humanitarian manner. It's creating more tension, and Echo is living through this as she's gone back in time. The last installment was the Road Allowance Era. And as always, we're following Echo as she goes back in time. And this one, we find out some interesting things. Maybe there's more of a connection between Echo and the time periods that she's going back to, which was cool. There's some changes in her regular everyday life as well, particularly when it comes to her mother. We're picking back up during 1885. Now is when she's going back in time. The Manitoba Act's promise of land for the Métis has gone unfulfilled, and many Métis flee to the Northwest as part of the fallout from the Northwest resistance. The Métis begin to settle on road allowances and railway land. They're on the fringes of society. They've lost their land, their homes, and many other things over and over again. Honestly, again, like I said, I think for the first volume, not a lot is said. There's not a lot of text in the story, but the artwork and the little bit of text that is there tells the story very well. I have to say that it feels kind of hopeless, but in this volume, both the people in the present day with Echo, but also the people in the past that she's visiting, kind of have a hopeful outlook and a positive reassurances for her, and that kind of helps. That kind of helps, because it was just like, well, this has already happened. There's nothing we can do, and it sucks. That's how it feels in life for a lot of things, and the reassurances were not like, oh, everything will magically be okay, which I appreciated, but just, you know, we are resilient and we're still here. Like, look, you exist, so obviously the Métis are not all gone. And can't argue with that. I wound up giving this 4 stars as well. So I really enjoyed this series. Do check it out. Canadian Indigenous peoples, a little history, a little modernity. The artwork is also very modern, and I learned a lot that I had no clue about, to be perfectly honest. Alright, next I finished Moonshot Volume 1. This is the Indigenous Comics Collection, and again, it's Indigenous kind of people's history, heritage month and November, and I was looking for stuff to read. This is, I did have, you know, other things on my TBR forever. This actually came in this month, so yes, this is it's exactly what it says, an Indigenous Comics Collection, and I round up reading like 2 a day for a couple weeks. There are about 12, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 comics in here by different authors, indigenous to various parts of North America. So Canadian and USian. In the United States, obviously there are various different indigenous groups, many. So it was very interesting. I want to go through this again. First of all, the art. Various styles. There were only like 1 or 2 I was like, that's not really for me, but for what they offered, they were good enough. There's just like 1 or 2 I was just like, I think I'm gonna need more for this to make sense to my brain. One where I was just like, it's just not my style. This is the confusing one. This is the unknown with my stats. Guys, I don't know how to do an anthology. Also, like, I'm not gonna rate it low because of this, but this is why I don't do anthologies usually, because each story gives a different feeling. And I thought about like rating each one and then doing some kind of that's too much work. But the biggest drawback I feel from anthologies is that it's a bunch of short, quick stories, and I'm just like, wow, I wish there was more to this. Wow, or in this case, a lot of these stories were either written or artistically told folk tales or historical things from that indigenous group or retellings of such things. And like so the story is complete. It's like Aesop's Fables, or because I'm looking at it, Hans Christian Andersen's complete collection of fairy tales. Not very long stories in the first place, so I don't feel as incomplete as I do with a lot of anthologies or novellas and things like that. But with some, quite a few of these, I was like, I want more of this artwork. I want more of this storytelling style. I want more from this author, kind of thing. So that's why it's not perfect. But this and A Girl Called Echo, I also read for the Skodenreadathon. Readathon run by Native Lady Book Warrior, where we're supposed to be reading books by Indigenous authors, not just from the United States. I unfortunately was not able to get a lot of the books I wanted in a timely manner, but I am once again fortunate that my New York Public Library, the local library for me, does have quite a bit. So with a little bit more timeliness, a little more planning, I can get more indigenous things read. But this was great. I greatly appreciated the exposure to this, and there are 2 more volumes out already. Obviously, I read this physically. The stories, some of them seem like fantasy, others like sci-fi, some slice of life, others are historical. I guess I can put these down as folk tales, or I don't know. That's why I didn't know what genre to put this in. Some of these have what some indigenous communities would call two-spirit characters, and I'm not sure how I would label that as far as the gender identity. So I didn't. That seemed like unnecessary just for my spreadsheet. Like, to know they exist is to know they exist. I do want to make a list of several of these authors to try and find more of their stuff. The first one actually is David Mack, and he created an indigenous character in the Marvel Universe, I believe. An indigenous and Latin superhero, Echo. So this is kind of, his story is first, and this is an excerpt from that comic. I wish there was more of Echo. I've heard of Echo before. Different Echo from The Girl Called Echo series I just talked about. But yeah, favorites. I liked that. I didn't love the art style of that. Ochek, definitely up there. I don't know how to pronounce this properly, so please bear with me. Liko Nawal, written by Richard Van Camp. The Return of the Spirit, that was really interesting, and not what I was expecting. There's like 2 different art styles in that, which is also really something. Definitely some in here feel like they need to be continued. One that needs I need a continuation of is Siku by Tony Romito. I'm trying to find it. This one art style where I was just like, Yulee Puke's Watermaster by Aragon Star, illustrated by David Cutler. That one is like a sci-fi version. And wow. Also, one of the longest ones in here is the Kalupiluk Forgiven, written by Sean and Rachel Kitsualik Tinsley, illustrated by Menton 3. There's hardly any art in that particular one. It's mostly text, but the art is compelling. The story is compelling. So, I don't know if I told you, but I wound up giving that 4 stars. The last book I finished in the month of November, Lock and Key, Volume 3, Crown of Shadows. I was like, you know, Lashette, you really need to finish this damn thing. I was kind of scared of this. Like, it's really intense. I was really solidly in these people's corner. Like, I feel for this family so much, and I know it's only gonna get worse. Also, I was trying to keep up with the TV show series at the same time, and that just went by the wayside. So, this is Volume 3 in the Lock and Key series. This was the October picks for the Realm of Comics Book Club. Obviously, I'm behind, but it's okay because they hadn't had their live show then. This is by Joe Hill, Gabriel Rodriguez doing the art, and wow. I'm ready to read it again. I'm not gonna lie. So in this series, we're following the Locke family who have recently gone through a terrible tragedy. Their father and husband has been killed, and the wife, the mother, moves the whole family back to his childhood home, the Key House, which has a lot of secrets and a lot of keys. The kids begin finding the keys, and things start to be weird. There's some metaphysical, supernatural stuff happening with these keys, but also there is somebody doing a thing. There's a villain in here who at first is called Echo. So the Echo Chronicles continue. I don't know what that was. It just happened that way that I had all of these books with an Echo person in it. This is a horror series, and they be going through it. Dodge is just a villain. The most horrible person. We got some new, very cool keys, and one in particular is highlighted in this. I feel like there was just a lot of emotional things. That came up here. Friendship is the biggest theme I feel here, and it's just a lot. It's a lot. I gave this a 4.5 stars. Like, so far, my favorite volume. Just so yeah, those are all the books I read for the month of November. The manga challenge, obviously I did not read 30 in 30, and I'm okay with that. Even including the graphic novels and comics here. Again, I'm okay with that. What I will say, I think I've read 14, which is pretty damn good. As far as my reading volume 1s and then coming up with the bracket, I believe I mentioned this in my mid-November recent reads, that I will be continuing in December. So look out for those there. Guys, let me know down below if you participated in the Skodenreadathon. What did you read Did you enjoy it? Because I am looking for more. Guys, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. And links in the description to everyone and everything I've mentioned here, as well as all of my social media accounts if you would like to follow me anywhere else, or if you would like to be my friend on Storygraph or Goodreads, go ahead. Links there. There is also a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop where I make all natural bath and body products, so go check that out. And guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.